There are people who will tell you with complete certainty that it is a conspiracy theory, it is a lie, it is a right-wing talking point that 13-year-old children are getting their breasts surgically removed in the name of gender-affirming care. Just so everyone is on the same page, this is a study that you can find on Google, just like any number of other medical studies. Chest reconstruction and chest dysphoria in transmasculine minors and young adults. Transmasculine means females who want to present as males. And chest reconstruction would be the surgical removal of those female breasts that are interfering with the ability to present as male. So to get to the point, there were 68 people who were part of this study, and this is the age range. 2 13-year-olds, 5 14-year-olds, 9 15-year-olds, etc., etc. This is happening. It's indisputable. And the most disgusting part of all of this is that this study that concludes that the surgery was a success. Conclusions. Given these findings, professional guidelines and clinical practice should consider patients for chest surgery based on individual need rather than chronological age. Meaning, 13 is not too young to have your breast surgically removed. This study is methodologically garbage, and I'm going to show you why. The way this study determines whether or not it was a success, the surgery was beneficial and had positive mental health outcomes, was by sending a 10-minute survey to the various participants between 6 months and 5 years later. And these were the questions. I like looking at my chest in the mirror, blah, 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 various things. I have no issue with the questions themselves. Here is the utter nonsense plaguing this study. Length of time since surgery. 59 of the people involved in this study were followed up with less than 2 years later. So if you're a 13-year-old and you get your breasts cut off, this study would follow up with you 2 years later for a 10-minute survey, ask you all these questions, and if you responded positively, they conclude chest dysphoria was significantly higher in the non-surgical cohort versus post-surgical cohort, meaning the kids that didn't get their breast cut offs were worse off because the 13-year-olds that did get their breasts cut off answered a 10-minute survey when they were 15 years old. And they happen to say, yeah, I still feel good or I don't regret my transition, which is like, okay, I wonder why that is. Maybe they're still 15. Maybe they don't want to admit their regret. Maybe the fact that we know testosterone increases mood and so they're still riding the high from the hormones. These aren't hypotheses. These are the self-reported descriptions of what happened from detransitioners who, by the way, are never studied. But anyone who's paying attention can listen to the flood of stories and interviews that those people are putting forward. It's every single day there's a new person saying they regret their transition.
Here, an increasing number of adults who transition to the opposite gender as a child or a teen now want to transition back.
It was presented both to me and my parents as this is your option to fix things.
Luca Bunny Hine was only 16 years old when she had a double mastectomy.
Never mind the fact that 26% of the people in this survey didn't even respond. So what percentage of those people who didn't respond, what percentage of them had regret? This is garbage science, straight up. And people wonder, well, Paul, hold on. Who are you to be criticizing? It's you versus the medical establishment and, all this shit. It's like these same studies in different times with different institutional biases said that being gay was a mental illness. They said that smoking did not appreciably shorten life. There's been a whole recent massive controversy regarding Alzheimer's research, which basically the entire leading hypothesis in Alzheimer's research was the result of fraud, intentional fraud. And the idea that there's no competing incentives here, there's no bad science going on, and again, concluding that it's a good idea to surgically remove the breasts of 13-year-olds because 2 years later, they answered a 10-minute survey when they were 15 and said, I don't regret it. It's like, okay, what happens when you're 18 or 19 or 20 or 25? Go see for yourself on the Detransition subreddit, go listen to the stories and determine how long did it take on average for people to realize this was a mistake. Oftentimes it's 4 to 5 years or more.
Yeah. How long did you live as a trans woman, right?
I'd say for about 8 years.
8 years. And
I took the hormones for longer, but like from when I had my name legally changed and wore ladies' clothes and, if I went to a coffee place, but about 8 years.
So
eight, maybe 9 years, something like that. A while, yeah.
Now, people will ask, Paul, why do you care so much about this issue? Why should anyone care? It's a small number of children. First off, I know people personally who have children who are confused in their gender, and if these studies are not called out for the bullshit science that they are, then it's perfectly reasonable to assume there is a likelihood that many, many more children who otherwise wouldn't have will pursue these bullshit medical procedures. Second, the fact that it's a small number of children who are being experimented on does not eliminate the moral significance of it. It's the same issue with Black Lives Matter responding to police killing unarmed black men. comment, police killing unarmed black men is a statistically insignificant problem if you just look at it from the lens of statistics. It's something like less than 20 unarmed black men are killed by police every year. To dismiss that phenomenon as irrelevant is to misunderstand how people think psychologically. They see an extreme event like police killing an unarmed black men, and they associate it with a true, deeper, broader psychosocial phenomenon. Like, for example, the fact that many people who are black are in circumstances of utter chaos and disenfranchisement and neglect on the part of their elected representatives, and insert infinite number of ways in which there are legitimate systemic issues against many people who are black. And on the same token, everyone who has kids knows that there's weird stuff going on with gender being taught in schools about how third graders can be told that they're males, or you can choose to be a male or female. I hear this from everyone I talk to who has kids. And what will happen is, when those people see, wait a second, there are children getting their breasts surgically removed, they're going to associate that extreme example with the underlying broader phenomenon of weird gender stuff being pushed in school, and then take the most extreme route and say, actually, all of this is bullshit. I don't want any of this near my kids. And then they become overt reactionaries like Matt Walsh.
What you need to understand here is that we are dealing with pure evil. This is pure evil.
And the point at the end of all of this is transgender adults who should have all the rights in the world to pursue whatever medical procedures they want should not be lumped in with the push towards saying that all children can choose whatever gender they want and these medical procedures are fine at any age. It's like there's very few people who seem to be having common sense on this issue, and that's what bothers me. And again, it's just like, Paul, you care too much about this. It's weird that you would spend your free time doing this. It's like, well, I'm a weird person. That doesn't bother me at all. But it's like, I'm very worried for the direction that society is moving. And if coronavirus taught us anything, it's that these systemic issues of, met science and government and politics that, well, I don't have any control over, actually, it affects our lives in a very significant way. And I'm not interested in seeing children get experimented on and then having right-wing reactionaries take that and go to the streets and burn shit down like multiple political factions have done on either side in the last few years. And it's just like, people need to wake up. So, in the meantime, good luck and Godspeed.